Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines, coming to you from the West Coast. Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate on the East Coast. And we are back after a short little break on Thanksgiving as we all watched football. We got a pretty big slate here on our return here Friday night. Going to go ahead and get into some best bets and player props video out there. So make sure you are liked and subscribed to the page. We'll be talking about the Charlotte Hornets and surging Minnesota Timberwolves here in just a moment. But as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to ftpicks.com or dkpicks.com and find those listings in your area, such as what we've got for tonight. Nate, let's get into it.
Yeah, the Wolves, after a big win against the Heat before the little Thanksgiving break, come out +2 at the Hornets, who are also on a nice little streak. The total fluctuated. It's been down to 22. It's up to 224 now, and thinking under on that one, given how high it is at the moment. Looking at the other games tonight on a huge Friday slate, we got Pistons +12 at Clippers. We got Suns -3 at the Knicks. The Bulls are -8 at Magic with Vucevic expected to return. The Wiz -8 at Thunder. Hawks +1 at Grizz. Raptors +3 at Pacers. Celtics -3 at Spurs. Pelicans are +12 at the Jazz. We got Bucks -3.5 at Nuggets. We're going to break that one down. We got Blazers +6 at Warriors, and we're going to break that one down for you. And finally, the Kings +8 at the sputtering Lakers. Wolves and Hornets, though, Josh, I mean, two teams that you would target their defenses really all of last season and starting most of this season. I mean, the Wolves were just awful on both ends of the floor at the start of the season. I don't know what they did behind closed doors to flip things around, but in their last 8 games, basically have the best advanced metrics in the NBA. I mean, they have the best defensive rating. They allow the fewest points per game. Their third in net rating. They had, in their last 5, their offense has hit another gear with a 119 offensive rating. They've won 5 straight, 4 of them against West Coast teams, 1 against Miami, as mentioned. Putting Jared Vanderbilt in that rotation, along with 4 guys that can really score the ball in Russell, Edwards, Beasley, Karl Anthony Towns, has really just taken this offense to another level. But really, I think Vanderbilt has helped their defense maintain such a winning rate there with his individual 92.5 defensive rating over those 8 games. He's grabbing 9 boards per game. Would look quickly at his prop for 15.5 points of rebounds tonight, as they go up against a Hornets team that started just playing nothing but shootouts, right? But they've slowed it down. And they've played much better defense. They've gone 7-1 with a 102.5 defensive rating. That's good for 4th in the NBA, allowing 3rd fewest points per game, and with 7 of those 8 games going under. And in the 3-happy league, Josh, is interesting to note, Minnesota's #1 in 3-point defense during that span. Guess who's #2? The Charlotte Hornets, both allowing 28.5% or lower from their opponents. So if you can't knock down threes and you can't necessarily get into the teeth of the defense against these teams that have both shown an ability to play great defense lately, I don't think we're going to get to 224 points.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, they're both still playing well on offense, but it is their defenses that have stepped it up. And the fact that the Minnesota in their recent surge, as you mentioned, 6-2 in their last 8 there, they've still gone under most of the time. There, 6 of those 8 actually went, 5 of those 8 went under in 2 pushes. So they're definitely still, like you said, stepped it up on defense. I was looking, for some of the research we were doing for the podcast today. I was definitely looking at some numbers in the last 5 to 8 games for other teams specifically that I knew had been playing really well in that time span. And every time I would look at a stat to try to find something maybe about the Warriors or maybe about the Blazers or what have you, the Minnesota Timberwolves are at the top of the list for all these stats. And I'm just like, I knew they were blowing teams out, but I thought it was more of them just playing bad teams and really, finding something with those 3 guys playing together for really a long stretch now, finally, the longest stretch in a row that Cat and D'Angelo Russell and Anthony Edwards have played together. I was thinking, okay, well, without diving into it, it just seems like that finally you get those guys back. And yeah, they're better than the Pelicans and they're better than the Magic and the Thunder. But no, they've also, they covered against the Suns in that time frame where they did lose. But I think the Kings are a team that will have a little bit of a turnaround now, especially now that they've, sort of lost Luke Walton there and maybe a little bit of a surge on their end. And they played well. They still, the T-Wolves still handled them by 10. So the point is they're playing teams in a variety of quality, right? Ranging from the Spurs to the Suns, let's say. And they're still playing their same style of ball with the same numbers and a lot of the same results in all those games. So, I feel really good about where they're at because of the fact that their defense actually showed, potential at the beginning of the season. In the first 5 to 6 games of the season, they were in the top 10 in defensive rating, which was surprising for them. I believe they were 7th when we were talking about them last at that point in very early November. And so the makings of a defense were there. But it is exactly, in this league right now, especially a lot of where you start in terms of looking at the quality of their offense and defense is what's their percentage on three in terms of threes a game, and how many are they making on offense, and on defense, how are you defending the three? And that's what they're both doing really well here. But I do think that there's a little bit of an advantage to going ahead of betting this money line for the T-Wolves in such a small spread. I think if they're close at the end of this game, that they have just as many weapons to be able to score and get the buckets they need in crunch time as the Hornets do. And I do think that the defense for the T-Wolves is a lot more for real, to be honest, than what we've seen lately from Charlotte, although it is, impressive to a degree. Like I said, the makings of this Minnesota Timberwolves defense has been there all season. And I don't think there's much of a reason to think that it's going to stop now.
Yeah, with Charlotte, it might be more of a case of the competition, obviously, who they're playing, getting that defense up so much. They still struggle in the rebounding department. They allow the 3rd most offensive rebounds, and Minnesota's 2nd in offensive rebounding rate during this stretch. So, yeah, you talk about money line. I would look at the Karl-Anthony Towns double-double in a win at plus 215 on FanDuel. He's not scoring as much because Russell and Edwards have been on fire. You look at Ant in particular, shooting like nearly 45% from 3 with a 116 offensive rating in his last 5. I mean, when you talk about confidence down the stretch, it's those two guys that would lead me to bet Minnesota, which just seems like they can do no wrong right now. Beating that Miami Heat team is just really impressive in the way they closed it out. I will note that they did not shoot very well on the road in this stretch. They've won 2 of their 3 road games, but they're actually 24th in true shooting on the road and 27th in true shooting during that stretch, during those 2 wins. So that's why I'm not necessarily seeing a shootout, seeing more of a low-scoring game and a close finish down the stretch where this game stays under.
Absolutely, Nate. That is all the time that we have for today. Make sure you are liked and subscribed to that page. Got a couple other videos on a big fat Friday night slate for you guys. And until we see you next, happy betting.